Hello and welcome to the fourth of our ACCA P7 Advanced Audit and Assurance lecture recaps. This one was on obtaining new work. First area we looked at was advertising and publicity. Advertising first. Advertising must not reflect adversely on the following: the member, the ACCA, or the accountancy profession in general. The key is that it must inform rather than impress. So therefore it should not discredit members, discredit others, be misleading, breach advertising standards. Any of those things it must not do. Publicity then, well, this is really the perception management of the firm, how the firm perceives itself and how it wants others to perceive it. The key to this is professional behaviour. You must have professional behaviour and you must adhere to laws and regulations. The ACCA does have various name restrictions, so you may use the ACCA in your name, but not if you are a limited company. When describing the firm, you may describe yourself as an ACCA practice if half the partners or directors are members of the ACCA, or they control 51% of the voting rights if it's a limited company, and you can then use this on your stationery. Be aware though, if it's a mixed firm, say ACA and ACCA, you must make that clear in your advertising and stationery. The ACCA logo, well, you can use that if you're a member, but you must keep it separate from your actual name and logo on stationery and so on. And you must be clear, it must be clear on your stationery. Names then, some just points on names. It must maintain dignity, it mustn't be misleading, and it has to avoid confusion. So as long as you stick to those, you should be okay on the name of your actual firm. So when it comes to fees then, well, first of all, why do we need guidance on fees? Well, primarily it's to avoid disputes between clients and the auditor, and to maintain the fundamental principles. If you're going to make reference to fees in promotions and so on, you must clearly state the basis on which fees are computed. You may compare them between your firm and another firm, but you can't be misleading. And you can offer a free consultation for people to come have a discussion with you about the fees that you would charge. So when you're setting fees then, how can you do this? Well, first of all, you've got to look at the seniority of the people that are going to be dealing with the job, the time it's going to take to do the job, the risk involved in undertaking the engagement, the urgency, how quickly do they want this done? Is it going to take a lot of staff to get it done that quickly? The importance of the work undertaken, and of course the overheads that you yourself face as a business. You've got to cover those or there's no point in undertaking the work. And lastly, expenses. If you undertake expenses on behalf of the client, you can then reclaim them from the client. The basis on which you'll charge fees really will be the hourly rate or referral fees. If you do referral fees, for referring to other businesses, make sure that the client is aware of it. They have to be aware that you're doing that. Contingency fees, i.e. fees on the basis that something happens, i.e. they make a certain amount of money or so on, are not allowed. Contingency fees are not allowed. So this brings us on to the tendering process then. Why would there be a change in auditor that would require a tender process? Well, from the firm's point of view, why would they change auditor? They may have a personality clash with the current auditor. They may want to reduce the cost of their audit fee and think that by getting someone else they can do that. They may be in dispute with their current auditor. They may be expanding and want a larger firm, or their auditor may have retired. Why would the auditor step down? Well, they might have an ethical issue, i.e. a financial interest or so on. They may be concerned about management competence, which would increase the risk of undertaking the audit, and they may not want to take that risk anymore. Or it may simply not be profitable for them anymore to undertake the audit. In those cases, the auditor may step down. So, when thinking about new work, there's things that you must consider. First of all, the ethics. We're thinking here about independence, which we've already talked about, the fee size, does this take over your fee threshold, and the resources that you have available to undertake the work. Also, are there any legal restrictions on you undertaking this work? And then also commercial aspects. Does it fit in with your timetable, with other work that you have on? Are you going to need external experts? Have you undertaken a cost-benefit analysis to make sure that the work will be profitable? And are you able to offer other services to the firm to maybe subsidise the audit work that you're going to do for them? The risks involved in tendering, well, you may be just wasting your time, i.e. you're not going to get the work, or you don't get it for whatever reason, the time is wasted. You may set an uncommercial fee. When you actually get to do the work, you realise, oh dear, I can't do it for the fee that I quoted. And you may have made unrealistic claims to try and get the tender in the first place. So, the process of tendering then. Well, before the proposal, you're going to do a couple of things. You're going to assess the client expectations. What are they expecting from the person who's going to undertake this work? You're going to look at the timetable involved. You're going to look at the future plans of the client to see that you can audit them in the future if they undertake those plans. And you're going to look at any problems they have with the current auditor. When you make your proposal then, it's going to include these things. It's going to include your fee and how you calculated it. It's going to include the nature and the purpose of the audit to make sure that everyone understands it. You're going to assess the requirements and make sure that you can meet them. You're going to state any assumptions that you've made, geographical assumptions or deadline assumptions. And you're going to outline your proposed methodology to undertake the audit. You'll outline the firm and the personnel that you have and any available resources that you can offer in the form of other services. How will that be evaluated? Well, they'll look at the clarity and relevance of your tender document, the professionalism, the timeliness, the originality, and of course your reputation. So, advantages and disadvantages of tendering. Well, the advantages are that it should improve efficiency because you always want to keep fees as low as possible. Firms may undertake more internal audit because they want to keep their audit fee down. And it should lead to simpler groups because more complex groups are harder to audit. On the other hand, there's less choice. The big four come to dominate because they can provide the lowest tender. You lose the relationship, the long-term relationship between the auditor and the client. There may be independence issues because you're trying to renew your contract. And it may lead to lowballing, i.e. offering a very low audit fee in the hope of gaining other services to the client. So that was our lecture on obtaining new work.